Hello, this is Lyle with Optimize Profitability Podcast. Today we're with Joseph Smith. He's a co-founder of Wise Guys and Ties. He's written 2 books. He has 4 children. That's 3 of them are boys and 1 of them's a girl. And he specializes in helping people start, build, and grow their business and achieve their God-given purpose. So I asked Joseph to join us today because I really want to hear his story and how he became an entrepreneur. So Joseph, take it away.
Hi, Lyle. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast today.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. So you asked me to tell my story, and my story starts about 7 years ago when I had been through 2 foreclosures back during the 2007 collapse of the financial market. I'd been through 2 foreclosures, and I've been trying to just stay ahead as much as I can. But about 7 years ago, which would put us at 2013, 2014, right in there. I just couldn't keep juggling all those bills, and so I was headed into bankruptcy because of those foreclosures. And I'm the kind of person where my wife and we decided early on that we wanted her to be a stay-at-home mom and really make our kids the number one priority. So we're homeschoolers, and that meant we had to live off of my income. And I went to college. I got good grades. I did what I was supposed to do. And I got a job in social work, which was my degree. And I was a CPS case manager. I'd actually worked all the way up to the top of the pay scale. And I was bringing home, after taxes, $31,000 a year for a family of 4. And another thing that people ask me about is, well, then how did you get 2 foreclosures if you can't even afford 1? Well, one of those wonderful things where I had my own house, and then I had a relative that wanted to get into a house, and so they didn't have good credit at the time, so I gave the personal guarantee, right? Then 2007 led into 2008. We both go into foreclosure, and I get stuck with 2 foreclosures on my record. Ouch.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was, but I'm a man of faith, and I'm somebody who's like, I really thought I did everything right. I mean, what did I do? I went to school, I got good grades, I played college football. I mean, I practiced, studied hard, I got a scholarship to Boise State University, and this was a big deal. This was, these are things that I attributed to my hard work and success, and I eventually got my degree, and I'd worked all the way up to the top of the pay scale, right? They were saying they were paying me like $50,000 a year, but when you're a government employee and you've got to take out all these dues for union and whatever, I mean, it's like, where's all my money going? Mandatory pension and all the benefits, all these things. My annual take home was $31,000, which, that was it was pretty crazy. So, but it was nice to have the benefits, of course. But I mean, with the 2 foreclosures and headed into bankruptcy, in my profession as a social worker, having a bankruptcy was going to lead to me losing my job, because you can't be in many government positions. See, I was, if you're compromised by finances, then and people are entrusting you in my profession with children. See, I was a CPS case manager. They weren't going to be able to allow me to keep my position. So I was sitting here watching my finances just build up, and because you try to take one credit card to pay off another, you float one bill and hope that you can make it up the next time. But I mean, my finances were a car accident in slow motion. I just headed over the cliff. And so I reached this point where I was like, God, I don't know what to do. I feel like I've been doing everything right, everything everybody told me to, my parents. I've been doing everything the bank told me to. And some reason I am like, I'm going to go into bankruptcy. I'm going to lose my job. And I don't know where my wife and our kids, where we're going to live, what we're going to do. I mean, this was like, a serious tale of woe. I mean, it's like a really bad country music song,
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here, and then I'm listening to the radio, and I don't you normally listen to the radio, but I had a case that was taking me across the state to deliver a kid to a home, and so I was listening, to the radio on a long trip. I turned to the AM dial and just was kind of spinning it around, and like one of those things. Have you ever like opened up the Bible and you're like, God, just let me find the right scripture, and you point your finger in some random page, and then you're like, hopefully that's going to be something inspirational. Mm-hmm. Well, I just kind of spun the dial, and I was like, Lord, help me find some financial program, some religious program, something to inspire me or tell me what to do next with my life. And it landed on a Christian station, and I was listening to a guy named Gary Lawrence, and he was telling me about how he had lost everything in the financial crash, and he was 64 years old at the time, and how he had learned how to become a real estate investor, and in like 3 years was making $200,000 a year through his real estate investments. And he attributed it to, his faith in God and his, willingness to, not give up. And so he's speaking to people out over the radio saying, if you're going through the same thing, you're full of the power of success, you can do the same thing. And I was like, wow, this is great. This would be good for Emily to try. My wife. I didn't even think of myself doing it, but it's like, yeah, because it was all this whole work from home thing. It's like, well, Emily could do that while I'm trying to go out and find the next job. And anyway, so they have different local meetings, networking events. I went out there and I met a man named Dan Gleason, who was a successful business owner. Not a business owner, sorry. He was a successful businessman. He was an auditor for one of the top credit card companies that are out there. But he had just started a business and was getting into real estate investing. He had gotten educated through a program called Renatus. It was an excellent program. I ended up getting educated with that too. But I didn't have any money to pay for an education, so that wasn't anything on my radar when I went down there. But here's this guy, and he was a Christian. Him and his wife were instantly just took us under their wing. Emily and I took us both under their wing. And, it was difficult for us in that time. They actually chipped in and paid for our gas so that we could come down to their networking meeting. And, here's this guy who, I met with him for over the course of like 3 or 4 weeks. We'd met maybe 3 or 4 times. We got some lunch together and we'd had stuff. And they were showing me their program and how they got educated, and then how they also got their money together and the deals that they were currently looking at working on. It was all really fascinating. But, I was like, that felt like way over my head. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing that. I'm just a CPS case manager. And so after sharing all this, they started encouraging me, what, you should get educated. You should become an entrepreneur. You should start a real estate investing business. And I was like, have you not been paying attention to my story? I have 2 foreclosures on my record, right? All I know how to do is fail so far, right? I mean, I don't know anything about investing in real estate. I don't know anything about owning a business. Are you kidding me? But they just continued to believe in us. And, that was so inspiring. When you have somebody that believes in you, a coach, a mentor, a teacher, somebody who believes that you can be more than what you are, and just continues to encourage and spur you on, pray for you, hold you accountable in a lot of ways. That's really what Dan and Lori Gleason, that's what they were like for us. And so I just, was just, they kept coming back to my pain point, which was, well, what are you going to do? If you're going to lose your job at the end of the year, what are you going to do? And so, I mean, it's like, I had no answer. It's like, what jobs can I apply for that I can get with the bankruptcy on my record that would still allow me to make enough money to pay all my bills? And when you're looking at we were in the middle of a recession at that time, so there wasn't like a whole lot of job availability out there. So I was convinced to, I'll dip my toe into this education program. Let me buy the first 10 classes, not all 75, right? I'm not ready for the whole thing, but just show me the class on how I can get out of debt and how I can get some money together and start a business and all that. Just give me that, let me see if I can do that. So I started taking the classes, and I was able to make a shift in CPS where I could move to a desk job where I wasn't working with kids. I was actually working on the hotline where we take the inbound phone numbers, maybe from a police officer or a hospital, and then we dispatch out the case manager. So, that bought me some time so I wasn't necessarily at risk of losing my job right away, but it was definitely still, on the horizon. They weren't guaranteeing I could keep my job forever, but, because of my financial situation, if we put you here on this desk job, they could keep me around a little longer. So, so I was working that, and I ended up, the only shift that was available was nights. So I had to work overnights, and, but you don't take very many calls, and I had a lot of time. So I just took all my classes, right? I mean, it was an online education. So I was able to just put it on my phone and listen to it in between phone calls. And, man, I just devoured it. Took me about, well, I mean, some people do it faster, but I took about 18 months to really master each of these classes. I mean, I took some of them over a couple of times, but I mean, this is talking about how to establish a business, how to set up your legal structure, how to take advantage of tax write-offs, how to raise capital, all these things. This was great stuff. I was learning how to invest in real estate. All of this was amazing kind of stuff, but I was still like swimming in debt. And so they had this, at the time I started, they didn't have this class, but 18 months into it, they added a class called, at the time, Sweep Strategies. And then they later changed it to Velocity Banking. But that's when I was like totally blown away, because then I was like, oh my goodness, I could actually use my situation. I could use lines of credit to get rid of my debt. And so, I mean, that was very powerful. So, but in that time, I didn't really go to any of those networking meetings. I'd kind of fallen off of the radar, but, Dan and Lori, they never gave up on Emily and I. So they kept coming around. They kept coming around, giving us a call, checking in on us maybe once a month. And there was this guest speaker that was coming into town, and he was a really big entrepreneur out in Chicago, a big marketer, a big real estate investor. His name was Scott Rowe. And they were like, oh man, you have to come see this guy, because he will help you figure out how to make some money. And I was like, well, yeah, I need to make some money. So I went out and I learned about, I'd never once ever thought of myself as a businessman, a salesman, a marketer, but I've learned that that's what every, entrepreneur, businessman is. You are a salesman. You've got to sell your idea, your whatever your concept is, your product. But this guy showed me, not just me, but this whole seminar, how to take your marketing business and break it down into a machine, into several steps, and to create sales funnels, and he gave sample pitches and how to have phone conversations. I mean, it was a whole practical, hands-on seminar. I mean, and I left that, and I went to Dan and I was like, I can do this. And I wanted to get the full Renatus education. At that point, it's like 20,000, 25,000, something like that. And I knew that I could do it because I knew that I could make money marketing and making sales and getting into and building up capital for real estate investing. So all of these things were exciting to me. And so this is where I was 7 years ago. And I didn't have a business yet, but I had a little bit of education on how to start a business. And I had gone to a seminar with somebody who told me how I could make money in business marketing, marketing for other businesses, marketing for my business, just all kinds of network marketing, all kinds of ways to do referral-based marketing. And it just totally intrigued me. And so all I had to do in that specific situation was to come up with like $25,000. No big deal, right? Everybody's got an extra $25,000 laying around, right?
Of course, under the mattress, right?
So, but you know what? This guy, his name's Scott Rowe, also taught me how to go out and get the money. And what opened my eyes that day was that a real entrepreneur, a real business owner, doesn't beg for money, doesn't borrow money. They give people investment opportunities to work with them and their business. So what I did was I put together my business model, and I showed people what I was going to do. And I just had conversations. He encouraged me to come up with a list of 200 people that I knew. And I thought I knew about like 5 people. So it's like 200 people. Are you kidding me? But we worked through some memory joggers. Emily and I were able to put a list together of 173 people. And we just started calling them and showing people our business model and asking them about, their opinion. What do they think? We asked people, for those that, most everybody just completely rejected it. Like, no, that's ridiculous. And, but, for those who were interested, we showed them a little more information, some videos, or we invited them to come to a local, if it was somebody local, because I was calling people that I knew that were spread out over the country. But if it's somebody local to where I lived, I could take them down to meet Dan Gleason and the group of investors that they were working with there. And so what happened for me was I just was like, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, you're going to help me find $25,000 on these phone calls. And so for 4 days straight, I just called people all day long. Just, saying, hey, I'm super excited about Emily and I. We're going to start a business. This is what we're going to do. Here's our business plan and our model. And I'm just curious, I really respect you. What's your opinion? What do you think? And, I heard a lot of no's. In fact, I heard 62 no's in a row. In fact, I heard a few hell no's. I heard a few, are you kidding me? You as a real estate investor? And people would laugh like, oh, thanks, that didn't hurt. But, a lot, and you're calling a lot of family and friends. So it's really, you're starting to learn what they really think of you. But, I didn't argue with any of them. That wasn't the goal. I was just processing interest. And so when somebody said no, or somebody was a little bit insulting, all I would do is just say, you know what, you're probably right. And just change the subject and move on. But the 63rd person I called was my brother-in-law. And what was amazing was I didn't know this about him, but he was already a real estate investor himself, had a couple of rental properties, and he thought the idea and the plan was great. And he ended up not lending me the full money because I wasn't asking to borrow anything, but I gave him a chance to invest 20% of what I needed, because I could get 80% of it financed. And then as long as I was making money marketing and stuff like that, I knew I could pay the monthly financing fees. And so that's how I got started. So he helped me put the seed capital. I think it was about $4,000, right around there, maybe a little bit more, down into helping me get my business. You have to get your business started up off the ground. It takes money to make money. And, but I immediately, I just started my marketing business. I started marketing for that Renatus college. I marketed for other people's real estate. I just started to, if anybody needs, what do you need? Everybody needs people, property, and money. Right. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to find you what you need. Right. And that always would turn into some kind of payday for me. Well, in 7 months, through doing referral-based business, I was able to generate $41,000 of total profit. And keep in mind, what do I make annually at that time? 31,000. So, bringing in 41,000 was pretty cool. And so
eating everything.
This is a little, 20-hour a week side hustle that I'm working here, just trying to connect buyers to sellers and, find people that are interested in getting educated and learning about doing real estate investing. So this was really amazing, and I was super excited. And I was like, not only so with my brother-in-law, we went ahead and paid back his investment plus 25% interest. But let me tell you, that was it was a blessing to get the seed money and to be able to know that the system that I was using worked, and that I was able to pay him back, and I had the confidence knowing moving forward. I mean, at that point, that was my first year. That was 6 years ago. Each year after that, I made about $60,000 alone in my marketing business. So that was great until I got a letter from the IRS. Did you know that when you make money as an entrepreneur, they're not pulling out FICA, anything like that? So I had this bill off of the 41,000 from that first year. Not a bill, a letter from the IRS came and said that you owe us $8,000. It was more like, congratulations on your new business. Here's an $8,000 bill. And but I told you about how I really spent a lot of time on those overnights, working, taking those classes. So man, I was prepared. I had my all my ducks in a row. I had my itemized business expenses all out. I want to, Lyle, how much do you think I ended up owing of that 8,000 once I submitted all my write-offs?
No clue. 1,000?
I ended up getting $2,000 back.
Wow. That's a good segue into our next transition. So we're going to kind of pause your story for a minute. We're going to go into a whole nother segment. So if you guys are listening on the podcast, he's going to be talking about personal credit and how it impacts your business. You want to stay tuned to know how to do those kind of things in your own business, your own personal credit. So what we learned from him is you have to be dragged into business. You have to have somebody who believes in you. But then you got to believe in yourself. That's what I heard there. You believed in yourself and you started taking action on what you believe. And that's what made the difference. You finally got that point. Somebody else pushed you until you were able to take on your own self. And I am honored to know you. I think you're a successful person. I see the things you've done with your life and the way you've impacted people. And to me, that's more important than the money you've made. So I just want to tell you that before we end up here and go to our next session. So join us on OptimizeProfitability.com for our next section, where he's going to talk more about personal credit, how it impacts your business, and how you can utilize that to help your life and your business. Thanks for being with us today, Joseph, and we'll jump on to the next section in a moment.
Thank you, Lyle.